But occasionally, I run into someone that needs services, that needs help, and I do my best to find them what they need, where they are, because so much of the federal funding is tied to the location, that we have to spend it in Oklahoma. But other tribes get federal funding too, so if a Cherokee lives in another tribal area, then they can get resources there as well. So that's something we have to try to learn to do and understand and educate people about as well. But, see, I got off topic again. But Gadugi is the first one. Have y'all heard that before, Gadugi? It's common. Yeah, it's common. It's the most well-known kind of saying that we had in the Cherokee Nation for a long time. And it means people come together as one and working to help one another. Part of that means coming together, helping one another until the job is finished. And it's something that is internal in the community. It's something that's either there or it isn't. It's not something that's imposed from the outside. And so, does that make sense? Gadugi is yours. It's how your community operates and what you expect from each other. And so there's so much more than Gadugi. And I didn't know that, because that was kind of a slogan. It became kind of a slogan, but there's so much more. But every bit of it kind of goes back to Gadugi. It's all of this is really kind of the same thing, saying it in different ways. It really comes down to working together in a good way. And so the next one, strengthen one another with encouraging words in all that you do. I'm going to try to say that. These are so hard to say. Day-to-da, Nico, Peace, Doti, Speak. Strengthen one another with encouraging words in all that you do. Live and never give up on what you start. Ga, Wali, Walija, Jadayo, Speak, Speak. So much of our language, things are dropped. So we may write something down the wrong way, but things are dropped and shortened. And so these are the long ways of saying things. So it's kind of tough. Be stingy with one another's existence, like a mother with a child. That one kind of makes people laugh, because stingy is kind of a bad word in English, but it's a description. It's the closest description I think people have gotten, is describing that feeling of holding a child. We're supposed to hold each other as adults in that way, that emotionally we're supposed to take care of each other in that strong of a way. That's what our people believed to be expected in ancient times. And I think even in, I certainly saw this example in my grandmother. So I think it really was one of our strong qualities. So I think I missed one. Live and never give up on what you start. Like one another without conditions. Admire one another. That's a tough one. I talked about that earlier with my great-grandmother. Loving people unconditionally. That's hard to do. That's hard to do. And but she did it. She did it. And she understood that people, I think, we grow out of different things at different points in our lives. Not everybody has the same path and timeline and growth period. Cherokees have a different, kind of this different system for age. And I was talking to Joe earlier about how, there's this common belief, the mainstream belief is that when you're 18, you're on your own. That's not our way. We're not ready for life at 18, 28, maybe even 38. And our people had different age associated with wisdom and growth. And that, I wish I knew those ages, but that you weren't really a fully formed person until you were an elder. And they call that koli, which just means full. And so we're not really, we never stop growing until we kind of reach that age of wisdom as an elder.
And like you're saying, in different tribes, it's the same way. My grandma always said, because I was learning these ways in my 20s, I went out on the different reservations and did with Kenwood and learned from the elders and stuff. And she says, you are not to say anything until you become an elder.
Yes.
And an elder being at least 50 with some grandkids and stuff.
Absolutely.
So even though I may known of our ways as a group. In my 30s, it wasn't my place. If I were to talk about something and there was an elder there, I would ask the elder's permission if I could speak, or ask the elder to come and speak for him, and if they said, no, you go ahead, then I was given the right to speak. But it was interesting, because even though you might think you know something at 30 or 40, you're not allowed to speak it. And that's hard in today's world. We have these little 20-year-olds typing off everything they know, and you get, they haven't got wisdom yet, because they haven't gone through the stages of adult age.
Yes, and I'm really aware of that. I'm 44. I'm not an elder. I have the joints of one, I think, sometimes, but not the wisdom. And, but, so I think about that. What can I say and how can I say it right?
But even you have been given the right.
Yeah, so we make
because of your position and the church God saying to you, this is what they need you to do.
Yeah, and what was neat about Benny was there's so much about our ways as Cherokee that people want to keep secret, or within the family or community. And Benny, I'm told, I wasn't there, but I'm told he came into the office several years ago, the education office where all this kind of started. And he was kind of being criticized for sharing things. And here he is, an elder. We're up at a ceremonial ground. He's the real deal. Wise man, philosopher. And he just walked in and said, the days of not sharing things with each other are over. And he walked out. I'm told that was it. And so that was his way to me of saying, our people need to know these things. Who are we to hold on to these things? These things belong to our people.
And again, from a different perspective, northern, but the same thing is true there, because we were told to keep them secret, not necessarily to keep them from other people, but so we wouldn't lose them. Because at the time when they were taking our identities away and our way of life away, we didn't want some things to be told, because then those would be subject to being taken away from us.
Absolutely. It was a real fear, a real problem. I mean, our ceremonies are still at night now, because 100 years ago they were illegal. We could not perform our ceremonies and our religious practices in the daylight. So they went way out in the woods and then danced at night. And that's still how they are today. And yet we've researched and found, I have a chart here, our ancient Cherokee festivals, those were carried out in the daytime. So things changed that we had to kind of go underground. And it wasn't until the 70s, until the Native American Religious Freedom Act was passed in the 70s. So people did not have to hide their ceremonies anymore, and that's not very long ago.
Well, this is what is so upsetting, because my grandfather, whose mother came over to Cherokee, was so ashamed of being an Indian, a Cherokee, in Oklahoma, that he didn't want to pass down any of her traditions, and are her brothers. They're the only two that survived out of a family of 7. And so then my mother was not, and all of her brothers and sisters were not acknowledging that they were Indian, because my grandfather and his mother were forced to go sign up on the Dolls Road, literally, and she was full blood, but yet they said, oh no, you're only half Indian.
Very common.
Very common.
It was whatever they wanted to say it was.
Yeah, and her brother that was there with her, he's full blood. But her son, my grandfather, was, oh, you're only a quarter. It just, they were so ashamed of being who they were that they didn't acknowledge who they were. And so there's many of us here, probably our families have lost history we'll never know because no one would talk about it.
And I think we get things back. I think things come to us. The belief is, and this is something I think Benny has said to me, he said, you don't need to if we are in the right place, if we are doing the right things, and you all are meeting and eating and talking culture and reconnecting and doing those things in the way, things come back to you. You'd be surprised how common that story is, and but people still maintain things more than we know. We kind of, I use this example, when we lose somebody now, an elder, we think about all the information they took. And I'm finding now that that's always what I focus on. Oh, we lost so much. We lost a speaker. We lost all that knowledge. But after kind of a recovery time, I go, you know what? They taught me more than I thought they did. They taught me, and that's usable. I can use that, and I can carry that on. I think there are things there that we just aren't aware of. Again, those behaviors, the way you come together at holidays and for gatherings, and I think those things are there. I see them, and I feel them, and I get a sense of them. I think there are things just passed down even when we're not aware. And
You're so right. I mean, what I've heard is, people would say, well, that's lost. And, a good way we have a religion that they live in, and we didn't know how to sing the song. We didn't know how to do those things anymore. And so we started praying about it. And it was made known to our people that nothing is lost. And when that person dies and goes back to Creator holds all of those knowledges, all the things that the people of the earth know, he or she knows. Okay? And so you might have no inclination to learn the language, but in your dreams, things will come to you. And people say, oh, I got a new song the other day. Creator gave me a new song. And maybe it was a song that had been from somebody hundreds of years ago that died, and you got that song. So, everything that is created remains, goes in a different form up in the heavens, and then it comes down to those of us who are new. So if you're seeking away and you're praying as Cherokee people, that stuff will come back to you from the old people. And you'll say, oh, I got a new song. Or, oh, I learned how to say something. Or I had a dream about this. And it's the old stuff coming to you in a new modern day. So that's what our people say about it. And unfortunately, we are learning in the day we learn religion because it was both lost, and now the songs are coming back. And we even got somebody that brought some scrolls, birthmark scrolls with letters and things on it that we didn't understand. And now the people are praying about what do those mean. And they're supposed to be the sacred bundles that go with the religion. So all of this stuff comes around. It's not lost. It's just sometimes it had to be taken from the earth to be held in storage, if you will, until the time when we could bring it back. Because the time when the people were taking our identity and taking us away was not the time to keep those sacred things out there. And so they were taken away from the heavens, and now it's coming back to the people that are dedicated. So if you get dedicated, y'all, you might have some of those things happen to you.
Yeah, and I think I find that to be true. People will tell me I had a dream, or I had I heard these words in my dreams. I had no idea where that came from, or I'm finding that people share those things with me, so it happens. Some people have, I think, that gift, or they're ready for it.
Benny has that, and he may have gotten some of that from those who he passed on and sent it to him through visions or dreams.
Was Benny at the picnic? This last picnic?
I don't think he was. I've always hoped that he would come to the picnic, but I don't think I've seen him out.
Who said at our table, I called it the wrong name because we said it in a board meeting, I got the wrong name.
So it was a retired professor.
Yeah, we honored
He
him.
taught Jimmy, is that the person?
There's 2 or 3 Cherokee people.
Is it
that
Timmy or
passed
Jimmy?
away.
I was called.
You remember, Sheriff?
Just remember his first name is Timmy or Jimmy.
He had his whole family with him, that gal that was running for office.
Deborah Reed is kinfolk to him.
I can't remember his name, but I know.
Bobby.
He's an older gentleman.
Bobby. Do you remember Timmy or Jimmy, the professor from Haskell, or called the wrong name the entire time during the picnic table?
That's not that name.
Jillian.
And you know what, he never corrected her.
Jimmy knew he was
Do you want me to take a break? That's a good time to take a break.
No, one more time, I don't hear that part. That's it.
Yeah.
I kept on calling
That
you
is who it
Timmy
was.
Tucker.
That is who it was.
I was so embarrassed, but somebody told me that's okay. He doesn't hear it, it was loud. So-
He had his family with him.
Yeah, yeah, okay, so.
And that young gal that was running for office.
That was you.
Yeah, she was.
So that wasn't Diddy, okay.
He had a lot of information.
This is kind of an outsider today looking in and getting perspective on what you're doing, dealing with building like Rosemary, Empire, like how that